What's going on, Flicks Talkers? Welcome back to another movie review, this time for the film A Nice Girl Like You starring Lucy Hale. Now, this film did come out to rent on Amazon streaming on July 17th, 2020. It is 1 hour and 34 minutes. It's a comedy romance and it is rated R, surprisingly. Now, I will get into all of that in a second, but before we get into my full review of A Nice Girl Like You, please make sure you guys are hitting that thumbs up if you guys do appreciate movie content and movie reviews like this, as well as hitting that subscribe and bell notification. All right, now let's get into this film. After being accused of being too inhibited by her ex-boyfriend, a violinist creates a rather wild to-do list that sends her on a whirlwind journey of self-discovery. Alright guys, now right off the gate, based on that synopsis, I was kind of pulled into something a little different. Now I'm coming off of watching Fatal Affair, the Netflix original film that we didn't really enjoy as much, but I knew what I was getting myself into with that movie. Now that being said, this was kind of a Monday night movie. It was something that was new. It had Lucy Hale, and I was like, okay, Lucy Hale, Pretty Little Liars, she's good in that, but her movies suck. I will be honest, guys, she doesn't have a great track record when it comes to films, so I really wasn't hopeful, but you know what? It was something that we were throwing on in the background, and it did start off a little interesting in the fact that she plays someone the complete opposite of what I think she looks like. So she does play someone who's more of a prude, more conservative, more reserved. She's a violinist. She's into film. So it's a different role for her. And based on that synopsis, once again, it's talking about self-discovery. So we'll get into that aspect, how they executed it. But let's go over these directors of Chris Rydell and Nick Rydell. They are brothers, the Rydell brothers. So we always have to note that these duo, usually family members like Wachowskis, like the Coens, you know, you get these pairs that you're like, okay, they're trying to make a name for themselves, but then they come out with a project like this. And the reason why I'm saying that is this film is very sexually based, or it's supposed to be at least. It's also, I forgot to say, based on a best-selling book called Pornology. So I was like, okay, best-selling book, you know, it's two guys making this film. What could go wrong? Everything in this film went wrong. It didn't feel like it was from the mind of men, let alone two men. Give me a freaking break. It was an extremely bad, dry watch. And I feel so bad for Lucy Hale, man. She is striking out left and right when it's coming to the movies. At least for me. When I'm watching her, I really start to think, damn, she's going down the Emilia Clarke route. She has a lot of bad films under her resume. Stick to TV like Emilia Clarke did with Game of Thrones, and that's kind of their reign, is on network TV. But when it comes to A Nice Girl Like You, guys, this was probably the worst film I've seen in 2020 so far. I understand it's streaming, but everything about this movie screamed amateur. And I think the directors only have a couple of smaller films under their belt, so I'll give them that, you know, but they took a stab at something like this that has a larger star in it, and I gotta fault them on every single point. So you get the cliche, you know, writing, you get the sexual, you know, innuendo jokes thrown in there that are very watered down, PG, lifetimey. It's a rated R film, and they didn't even go there. It did not, I didn't even know that it was rated R. That's the first time I'm seeing that it's rated R. It felt PG-13, but at the end of the movie, I think Lucy Hale drops an F-bomb, which makes it R. I think you can even say F-bombs in PG-13 movies now. So I don't know why it's R, because every situation in this, when it deals with sexuality, it doesn't go there. It like stops right at the bare minimum, and it fades out to another scene or the next day or something completely opposite of what you think is going to happen. So I can't even fault it for saying predictability, because there's a lot of times saying, oh, they're going to hook up, or oh, he's going to say this to her, and they didn't do it. They just kind of fell flat. But does that mean it was good because I didn't predict it? Not really, because it just became boring and dry. Once again, it's not one of those films that's my forte, but even my girlfriend sitting 2 feet away from me was zoning out. She said this movie was bad, so it's not just me saying it, guys. But this movie, on all levels, was extremely bad. Now let's jump to that self-discovering. So what she's doing is she's trying to prove her ex-boyfriend wrong about being uninhibited by creating a sexual list of things that she has to go. So going to a porn store for the very first time, watching 25 porn movies, meeting an actual porn star, going to a strip club. Very mild things too that you would think are extremely dated. Like, this is 2020, and the way they tackle these are if like you were showing this to like a 13-year-old. Like, don't they know that teenagers are on Pornhub like most adults? Like, they have access to this crap at their fingertips. Like, nothing about this was realistic. And that keeps, me going back to my dislikes of this was created by two men that don't have any grasp on what's really going on. All they had to do was, if they're not doing it themselves, interview a couple of guys. Get a guy's perspective on how the writing should be. Get female perspectives on how the females are supposed to be. And that has me jumping to these side characters, guys, of all of Lucy Hall's friends, her violinist crew. They were extreme duds. Oh, man. They could not hold this picture together whatsoever, and they were the comic relief. I was not laughing whatsoever. There was a couple of times that I was chuckling at Mindy Cohn's character, who plays the older woman in the film. She seemed really seasoned, and she kind of knew what she was in for with this writing. So I just said, God bless her soul. She made me chuckle a little bit. But other than that, man, Lucy Hall, what are you doing? Like, you have the look. You can act somewhat, I mean, you're not anything dazzling as far as I can see so far, but what are you doing? Like, this is bottom of the barrel bargain bin Dollar Tree finds, man. I've seen way better bargain bins at the Dollar Tree recently and years ago. So it's like, this movie really made me angry at filmmaking, from, start to finish. I mean, every time they did a transition scene, it showed some stock footage of Vegas or New Jersey in the fall time with some, cliche early 2000s rock type music. And it was very, very amateurish. And these guys need to go back to the drawing board, because this is something that I wouldn't even be comfortable playing on cable network like a Lifetime channel, let alone asking people to pay $7 to watch this on Amazon. Get the freak out of here. No one's going to pay that. I mean, especially when they start seeing actual reviews of people that have watched this movie. I understand it has a 5.0 out of 10 on IMDb, but it doesn't even get that. So I think my final score review for A Nice Girl Like You is going to be a solid 0.5 out of 5, saying the only reason I give it that 0.5, guys, is because I chuckled a few times. Everything else about this film was hot garbage. All right, guys, do you plan to see A Nice Girl Like You? Did you even know this was coming out? I did post this in my story recently, and people were like, what is that? I've never even heard of that. So, and if you did appreciate my review, please hit that thumbs up, as well as hitting that subscribe and bell notification to always get notified about content like this, as well as live watch-alongs and just live chats in general. All right, guys, till next time, I'm gone. Peace.